Okay, hello everyone and welcome. I'm Jenna Blackard,
And I'm the Uncarina.
and this is the Hot Hustle Morning Show. Today we're talking about how to let go, the lucky girl syndrome, and we're going to start with a little bit of an energetic news update.
Yeah, that's right. In energetic news. I always like to share this stuff because it's important and I feel like it's also backed by science.
Mhm.
So I always want to just kind of jump in and say, what's the summer solstice doing and what's our solar flares doing? So right now, if I can get it pulled up for you really quickly here. We have a lot of stuff going on. So the Schumann Resonance, if you know what that is also known as you have to look it up. So it's the Schumann Resonance, and it is kind of known as the heartbeat of, I was going to say of America, but of the earth, the all of the earth. And what people measure there is kind of how, you know, generally, when we see spikes in the Schumann resonance, also means that there's a lot going on energetically and within bodies. And so bodies tend to be a little bit more excitable, a little bit more, sometimes there's violence. Also, sometimes you might just feel like you're like, oh, I'm going pulled in so many different directions. And that is probably, if you're feeling that right now, it's because we are at 100, we had 200 spikes. So if you look at the Schumann resonance, normally it stays always pretty consistent. And so when you get something that has like these really, really bright spikes in our resonance, then you'll probably know that we've got lots of unrest. So for all of us that are just more energetically clued in, that might mean a little more rest, lots more grounding, definitely water, and please don't make yourself crazy. And that's what I got.
Wait, we already are crazy.
Oh, yes. Okay. Don't
Okay,
make yourself.
so the Schumann resonance has had a bunch of spikes.
Yes,
Okay.
yes. In general, yes, it has.
And what do
But
we do about these spikes?
so we don't have to do anything. We just have to know that that it is spiking right now. And generally, the heartbeat of the earth would stay kind of moderate and at one regular, um guess speed, if you will, right? Like it has its own frequency. And so basically, when it spikes like that, sometimes it is caused by solar flares. And if you look at the science, it also shows you that solar flares also cause excitability within human beings. So since we're all having a human experience, I suggest that we would do some more, again, grounding. Give yourself lots of grace. I always say these things. But I just wanted to let you know that that was going on today, especially, and has been for the last couple days as the really big solar sunspot is coming more Earth facing right now. So we're getting those in class flares coming toward Earth at this time as it's coming more faced Earth. There you go.
Very nice.
Yes.
Okay. So today, so why don't you set this up as how this conversation unfolded and why I have such a simple term to this all? Do you want to frame it up?
Sure. I think,
Because it all started, do you remember it on Friday?
I
Do you still remember Friday?
put me on the spot. So we were talking about so help me out here. Sorry.
Yeah. So on Friday, I woke up and had all this cool awareness for the audience of Hot Hustle and really felt like got these messages that this group is really about supporting the world
Mm-hmm.
in a very loving way.
Mm-hmm.
I was looking at it from like, how do we even like really start a community
Mm-hmm.
that moves the world forward?
Right, right. Mm-hmm.
And I was getting these ideas of coming together as oneness. I was getting these ideas of, coming together to really pay it forward.
Uh-huh.
We know that that's been one of the themes. But then it also then led to, well, when I go into meditation, I go into these lands where I'm nothing and nobody.
Okay.
And how to really truly let go into nothing and nobody so that I can receive and meet others. Does that even make sense at all anymore? Is this like way too big?
I know, I follow you. So basically, when you go into nothing and nobody in your meditative state, it's a an elected state of being, correct?
Yeah,
In other words, you
right.
choose to be in a state of nothing and nobody. And the reason why, so I'm paraphrasing here, and you tell me if I'm catching this wrong. The reason why you are doing that is because then you strip yourself of your own identities, the
Mhm.
stories, everything. And so you're more willing to then allow yourself to be the energy of that which you wish to receive, be
Right.
or do be have what and whatnot, right?
Right.
Um,
Like really being able to receive from all things,
okay.
all guides.
Oh gosh, you got you.
And that
Mhm.
includes real life people. Like it's
Mhm.
great to be like, oh, I want to channel my guides.
Mhm.
Well, okay, great. But maybe your guides are nudging your neighbor
Yeah.
next door
Okay.
and saying, hey, tell them this or recommend this. And
Ah.
and instead of receiving from everyone,
Uh-huh.
we are truly uh pushing it away.
Right.
Because I mean, at the end of the day, this is communion, right? We're communing,
Okay.
we're contributing,
Sure.
and we are also in some ways giving and receiving,
Uh-huh.
like all day long.
Yes, yes, yes. I mean,
Somebody
we
even
are
yells
all
at you,
we
and
are
that's still something that you can fight against. You can put all your walls and barriers up, or you can really let go and be the marshmallow that they can just, keep throwing at.
oh yeah, no.
So
See
that's
that
like,
already?
I mean, here's the let go, the land of oneness is really, I think, what this should be called.
Mhm.
But instead, because of the way that my brain jumps around, I wanted to make it sound simpler than it always is.
Sure.
Mhm.
And so what did you end up calling it?
I called it how to let go, surrender.
So you could have lucky girl syndrome or the
That would be
lucky,
good though.
lucky dude
Well,
syndrome.
maybe we
Yeah.
should bring that in right now. So there's this TikToker online that talks about all these messages. And it's almost as if she's just, quote, lucky,
Okay.
right? And
There's no such thing as luck.
or is there? Because we create the luck,
Correct.
right?
Right. It's just how you term it. But
Yeah.
truthfully, if we're master creators, we're not relying on luck because that feels like it's something outside of me. If I'm truly a master creator, then
That you are making your own luck.
correct. Okay, I
Which is
gotcha.
exactly how she poses this, by the way.
Okay. But
so
some people confuse it with true, like however they view luck. And so basically anyone that's looking for lucky girl syndrome is gonna find her and then find out about how this works. Or
yeah, I feel like that's the doorway in, like
I gotcha.
is to not be the doorway of consciousness, but it's the doorway of lucky girl.
Or dude, right? Like
It's the new era, man.
yeah. But the truth is that, or taking it a step further, finding us in the show and lucky you, right? Then, but really learning about, okay, how do I start to, maybe emulate what you're saying about putting myself into a state of meditative practice where I have nothing, no one, and I really learned how to kind of strip away all those stories and get to that state of being so that way I can receive and then thus create myself as the lucky girl, right? And then always have the syndrome.
Yeah. If you're gonna have a syndrome, that's the one to get. So, well, and what I love about this,
okay,
I just realized why nobody is. I'll take this out, but the call is smaller. I forgot to put the Zoom link in the email. I bet.
oh, it has to get better than that. For sure. But still, I mean, at the truth of it all, the thing that is truly important and what I believe that you wanted to stress back here was that that we really don't have to rely on luck. I mean, I was kind of paraphrasing, but I kind of knew where you were going with that.
Mhm.
But I think for most people who may be joining us for the very first time or on the podcast, they may not understand what we're even talking about when we're talking about being in an energetic state of being.
Yeah, yeah. Well, let's go there.
Okay.
And I mean, let's go there energetically too,
Okay.
you guys. I mean, we're all high conscious beings.
Sure.
So think about a time when you were a child where something just happened that seemed like super lucky,
Hmm.
right? Anybody not being able to find the time?
Let me see. Like super lucky.
Because I was actually like coined a little lucky when I was growing up.
I've always felt lucky.
But don't you think that that's our attitude?
I do agree with that. I
Yeah.
knew I came in as a happy person. Like
Yeah.
now I can remember when I came to Earth, like, and now I chose. And when I look back on those, like even what would seem like darker times in my like upbringing, I still was a super happy kid. So of course I'm just attracting high vibe. But
Yeah.
back then I always thought it was like I was kind of lucky. Like I knew if somebody was going to say my name in a drawing or all of those things, right? Like I knew I was like, they're going to say my name. And
See, and I thought, I would put out there, before they would call the name.
yeah,
I'd be like saying my
you
name
would
in
tell
my
them.
head. I would tell them.
Oh, okay. So you were already working with it, right?
I think so, naturally.
Yeah.
And isn't this like, you know, look at this. Isn't this truly how we were supposed to be?
Yeah. Yes.
We just had forgotten.
Yes.
And then upside down to everything, and everything became the opposite of what it appeared to be.
Yep.
And now we're like trying to help people, and we're using, I mean, we shouldn't even have to use the word consciousness or spirituality
Because it should be us already.
it is us already.
Right.
We just are this.
Yes.
Except instead we're focusing on our outer world and complaining and complaining and complaining instead of focusing on our inner world. So and being able to receive from all things.
Yeah. I mean, I always come back to what it says in the Bible, and it's just rejoice. In other words, we've been in joy and in remembrance of me. So I feel like me is me as the God source.
The choice.
Yes.
Yeah,
Yes.
the joy.
Yeah, correct. Because the whole thing is about remembrance, the
Mhm.
whole thing. And that's when you receive your, rejoy.
Yeah.
Because we were always in joy. Like,
Right.
isn't that cool?
No, I love it.
I know. And so, but now we're using words like consciousness, spirituality, because of that dark amnesia.
Because we had amnesia, and now we
Right.
got to come back to it.
Yes. Again, it's a choice though, like,
Yeah.
I
It's
mean,
almost like, how can you get so, into the belief that okay, so check this out. I got a new tattoo over the weekend. And the first thing that when I went to bed that night, I was like thinking, I gotta wait for it to peel and things like that. And I was like, oh my gosh, talk about the autonomic nervous, is that the system that does this? Okay, maybe I got my language, but the autonomic, I think that's what that word means. Like my body is like going after this to heal it the minute that it's done.
that's cool, right?
Like you hurt your finger, you get a cut, and your body can't wait to heal it, and it scabs up. You go into surgery.
amazing.
Somebody has stabbed your insides, changed things around, and your body is taking 6 weeks to heal that wound.
Yeah, that's crazy. She's talking about because her husband had just had surgery,
right?
And now he's, and he bounced back a little bit even earlier than that. But can you imagine that? You're right.
What about people that have like stents put in their hearts? Yeah, I have a friend that her husband might have to have a lung removed, right? And this is like,
Our bodies are really miraculous.
and then your body just like goes, okay, let me just work with this one lung then. You know,
Wow,
it just
Jenna.
kind of, our bodies can't wait to heal it. So it makes you
Yeah,
wonder,
that makes
like,
total sense
why
to
are
me.
we locking in place some of these chronic diseases, some of these autoimmune diseases?
And
Like,
deeming them incurable.
yeah, and deeming them incurable. And at the same time, we're hearing these miracles happen in through science. They can even show it through science
Uh-huh,
now
uh-huh.
on how we can just heal.
Yes.
And we're just simply getting in our way and not giving ourselves the energy to heal, is
Yeah.
what I get. Because we're in these, like, high vigilant states where
Mhm.
we're angry all the time, we're frustrated, we're mad, we want to throw things at other people instead of letting go, being the marshmallow, and just letting, yourselves receive as people call you names, judge you. I feel like, today people can call me whatever they want to call me because I know who I am.
Are you sure about that?
Yeah, pretty much.
Good.
I mean, there are things that sting, right?
Yeah.
If you'd say something
Oh,
to
no,
me,
I
it'd
won't do
sting a
that.
lot
Yeah.
because I love you so much.
Yeah.
And I think I would
Yeah.
take it so to heart.
Yeah, that makes sense. I get that. I
But
get
people
that.
that aren't present when
Mhm.
they're saying things like that, I mean, you would say things and you'd be really real about it.
Yeah, it would take something really real for me to actually, and that would come from a presence that would want to warrant that kind of any
Yeah.
type of response. But just someone who's like sitting there and just being trolly on,
Yeah.
like just being,
No, agreed.
yeah,
Agreed.
trolly on, Instagram or YouTube
Or
or
social
whatever.
media.
Yeah,
I don't think that, I mean, I think that if there was something that somebody said over and over and over again, I think it would be something we'd look at.
right. But would you turn you in a tailspin? Probably not anymore, right?
I don't think so.
Yeah.
And I mean, a comment comes on, Napoleon Hill said something like, opinions are worthless,
Mm,
right?
yeah.
And I really see that now because
Mhm.
it's just somebody else's point of view.
Yeah, it is. It really is. And mostly now we're learning that primarily it's all directed back to them. It's what they're reflecting back,
Right,
how they see the world. And Mabel from our last series just talked about that too,
Mhm.
right? She said, to pull the masks
Yeah.
off and to, if somebody coming at you, she's like, she doesn't even care because, it's
And
about
if you're
them, not
nobody
her.
and nothing,
Mhm.
I mean,
Yeah, that's true, right?
yeah. I feel like when people attack people, it's really for their benefit.
Sure.
It's their point of view.
Well, and in some small ways, they get benefit, they get a rush out of it. So it's like
Well, maybe
release of
that's so they're
yeah.
feeding their dopamine.
Yeah, exactly.
That way,
Yep.
we're feeding it through the internal. That's
And being with
interesting.
y'all. But
I mean, that is
Mhm.
what they say. And like in one of the things that we talked about when I was getting my hypnotherapy certification was that when like people are looking at TikTok all the time
Uh-huh.
because that gives them these dopamine rushes, right?
Mhm.
And they need these rushes
Mhm.
so that they, that kind of, keeps their mood up. It makes them like feel good in the moment. But what they should be doing, what their system's really asking for, oh, that makes me think about something else too.
Uh-huh.
What their system's really asking for is for them to go out to exercise for dopamine.
Yeah.
Like that body wants dopamine.
Yes.
So they're finding it through the simplest way possible
Right.
instead of actually putting any effort into getting the right kind of dopamine that the body wants.
And it's almost the addictive part of it. It's almost like, wouldn't you say, because your body gets so used to it and it being that fast and coming like that's like just sitting state that it's going to look for that in that way. So it becomes more addictive so that because you're wanting to keep at that level.
Yeah.
And you almost feel like you have to stay at getting those hits in order to like be existing, right? Like to do your regular life things.
Plus, and so here's another situation, like our bodies were designed so that if a threat came to threaten us, right? The lion outside of us, if it came to threaten us, then, our body, like all our energy goes to our limbs so we can run, right?
Sure.
So what happens, if you don't express through Tom Cruise running, right? What happens is you're hitting a closed system, basically. So if you get angry or mad or frustrated from somebody on Zoom and you don't express it, then that's just suppressing it and causing you greater illness in your vigilance system to raise.
Yeah.
Yes.
In fact, the body is so miraculous. I remember I was giving blood and I was, doing the little like just kind of pumping or whatever. And then all of a sudden, I didn't really haven't given blood too many times, but this time I did. And I remember I remember them, they looked at me and I was all sweaty and they were like, are you okay? And I go, yes. And I go, but I feel like I'm throw up. They go like, oh, that's your body thinking it's going to bleed out. So it's protecting itself. And so our body has these ways of like,
these mechanisms,
hypervigilant, like you said, states like it has ways in order for it to like shift if we need to. It's shut down. It was shutting down and it was pulling back so that I don't bleed out, right? It has these mechanisms in order to truly keep us healthy, alive, and safe, right?
Yeah.
And so I was like, okay. And so basically they were, kind of just like, let me not give anymore. And I was able to just kind of like, drink some drink and kind of get my electrolytes back up. But I thought, wow, that is fascinating. And they said, yeah, that's pretty common for new blood donors. And I thought, but it's just fascinating. It's fascinating that my body, and I thought I was getting sick, but literally it was a way in which my body was protecting itself. How many times have we blamed ourselves and our bodies for its normal responses?
Yeah.
Thinking that it's, sick or something like that too.
Right.
And, because we've taken ourselves out of the norm, of course I was giving blood, so it was out of the norm.
Yeah.
But for just a number of reasons and, getting false dopamine could be one of those as well.
Yeah. I think that's the best word for that, false dopamine. It makes me think. So one thing that I wanted to share today that I put in the letter was, and I did share my story previously about like how, from in 2020, I went through this like not walking phase and how, it's taken me this while. I was stuck. Like literally stuck. Now, I have years of this work and this information.
Sure.
And yet I still found myself not being able to walk forward, not being able to step forward. And that meant that was the metaphor of everywhere in my life. Now I know that, part of that stagnation started with COVID. And me slowing my life down and making my life smaller because of COVID and the unknown. Yeah. And I really felt like the only way through that was almost to totally change, what I was doing. I had to.
Yeah, I mean, usually when you get to that crux point, that's what you would consider the dark night of the soul, right? Like the dark nights of the soul, dark time of the soul. Night is just a metaphor for like a point in which you're like, okay, this has got to change and it's changing now.
But what I think really caused it when I wrote that email, what I really think caused my stickiness was the ongoing suppression of, I hate this. I hate being locked in the house. I hate, continuing to eat the things we were eating during that time. I mean, there was just so much suppressed hatred, but yet because of who I am, I kept putting like this beautiful bow on it. And I think a lot of that stuckiness comes from that kind of suppression where, it's like you're on a Zoom call, you get frustrated and mad and you just kind of push it to the side. Okay, well, that's interesting. Right. And so for me, I don't know if that's where all stuckness comes from, but I want to be my full expression. It's time, and to be my full expression, you can't lock baby in a house.
I agree.
You
Right.
can't take her right leg away
Right.
because she's got to run.
Uh-huh. Uh-huh. But
Yeah.
but because you had lopped off parts of yourself or divorced parts of yourself, right? You have this little bit of like you feel a time of healing. However, I would say that you've gone leaps and bounds in ways in which, I mean, if you see you now versus then, it's miraculous in and of itself of how you could
Well,
walk and run, not run, but like swim. And you're so much more like active. I mean, to see you then was it was heartbreaking because I just was like, that's not my Jenna. And that's how I felt about it. I mean, I knew you were in there. I knew you were
somewhere.
in there.
But I
was
had all
like,
this suppression
mhm.
like over me.
Yeah,
Talk
that's
about putting
exactly how I
yourself in
feel.
a cloud.
Yeah. Literally, it was
Right.
with you. Yeah,
Yeah.
I remember, and I was like, God, that's
It
like
was
my
funny,
Jenna.
and the synchronicity that happened after the morning of Friday when I woke up and got that awareness was like, oh, well, shoot, no wonder I was so stuck because I was so suppressing these things.
Uh-huh.
And now I've like journaled to get them out. I've expressed them to get them out. I've gone to a counselor to get them out. I've gone to my husband. I've gone to friends. I've had this talk show all to get back to my full expression.
Sure.
So, I'm inviting you, if you feel stuck, like, what is the full expression of you? And how much of your full expression are you suppressing? Right? Because I still feel like there's something that I'm suppressing. And I might blame it on not enough money. I could, right? I could blame it on not enough time. I could blame it on not enough support,
Blame it on the.
yeah. I mean, what do I like?
Blame it on the sun.
Blame it on the rain. It's on the rain.
Yeah. I know. I was just simply saying the sun because I always blame everything on the sun, the solar flares. But I mean,
so I guess, yeah, go ahead.
I was being silly with it, but the truth is that sometimes there's those things that are so deeply ingrained. Could it be coming from a past life? Could it be coming from?
Sure,
Okay,
totally.
all right.
I mean, I don't think mine was,
But
but
for
I think
others, it
other
could be
people
for
it
sure.
could be.
Yeah.
And I also think that it could be, even, had started because you started hiding and you were drinking and entities enter your body.
Oh,
I know that
yeah.
sounds super woo,
Yes.
but
Yeah.
I do think that's cases.
And it was like, drink more. And I'm like, okay.
You're like, yes, that sounds better than me being sober in this reality.
Yeah, I mean, it was COVID. It was scary. I didn't know what to do with myself. So, I mean, I had my own freak out moments. And it was during that time that I was like, I cannot live like this. I mean, it was like, the liquor store was one of those, what are they called? Necessity stores. They were, and I just thought it was amazing. I was like, okay, cool. And no one had any like you didn't have a time to be at work, you didn't have a time to do anything, there was no regulation. And I really think that that's how I was dealing. And
Well,
you
yeah,
were
talk
dealing in
about
your own
being,
ways.
it's almost uncomfortable if you don't have a routine, isn't it?
Yeah. Well, humans do desire that usually, and we usually put them in for ourselves.
Yeah.
And just a couple comments. Intellecty says, brisket or rabbit food too, both. Not sure what that means. Sorry, probably because it's on the feed. Let's see. I think it's everybody kind of chatting to each other. Our freedom to move, to create, etc. It's the most important gift we have, right?
Yeah.
Joe, it is. Why do you, I mean, honestly, if you really think about it, I always say, like, you don't have to do that. You have free will. I mean, all of these things are just suggestions for possibly creating more of a life that you most want to live. But at the end of the day, we all have free will. And that is the gift of coming here to Earth so that we can have that own, discernment over these things.
Yeah.
I mean, I could choose to continue and, be a wild child and drink myself to oblivion, but I knew that for me wasn't a safe or good thing for me anymore. And maybe I could have tapered off or anything, but I knew what my choices and my changes had to be. again, that's all free will. And for me, I was like, all right, I surrender, right? Like I'm done. Like,
Yeah.
take the wheel really, because I'm now surrendering and, you know, turning my will, right? My free will over to my higher power, which
Well,
is
and I think
still
that
me.
is letting go.
Right.
Well,
which
and
is
that
still
is
me.
your higher self going,
Mhm.
you know, you were kept being nudged. You
Yeah.
knew that
Yeah.
you need to change
Yes.
that one thing.
Yes, I did.
So I think the processing today goes, what is it that you know that you need to change that you haven't changed?
Mhm.
And if you were to change it, you'd have more of you, right?
Yeah.
I think that's kind of the theme for this call, because that is you
Well, what is it that you
totally
don't know?
letting go to the,
What is it that you don't know that if you
Mhm.
would know it and would change it, would change anything?
I like that.
Mm-hmm. And anything that doesn't allow that, would you destroy and uncreate it?
That's please.
Yes. And take a great breath. Nice.
Well, you think that that's, you know, it's sort of what is it that you know that you're
Denying
that
that you
you're
know?
pretending to
Not
not know.
know. Uh-huh.
Yeah, it's mostly that. It's
Uh-huh.
like it's there, but you're pretending
Sure.
to not see it. You're pretending to not know it.
But some
Be-
people might not know. They may not know. They may not know it comes from a past life. They may not know it's from a lineage. They may not know this work. I think,
They
okay,
haven't worked their knower. Okay.
correct. They
Okay.
haven't worked their nowhere. Now, as an infinite being, when I always ask this question to someone, because I asked this of the audience the other day, and I was like, do we all know that we're infinite beings?
Mm,
And everyone's like, yeah, yeah. And I was like, well, then truth. Could an infinite being never not know? Like, could an infinite being truly not know?
mm.
And the answer is like, no, an infinite being would always know.
Right.
So we always know.
Right.
It's just sometimes we may not know that we know,
Yeah.
or we just don't know how to get to that knower yet.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
like you said.
So last week we talked about how to change the subconscious mind.
Mm-hmm.
And, you know, I feel like maybe that should be the overarching theme of everything, because I really feel like this let go part, and that means letting go of suppression, you know, and really truly playing full out in your life. I really feel like that's a requirement also to change your, you know, how you think, right? Maybe it shouldn't be called change your subconscious mind, but change how you think.
Yeah, right.
Yeah,
Just
because
as
if you
easy as
even,
that. Like
yeah,
Neville Goddard, right?
because that is where we started with
Mhm.
kick the crap,
Yeah.
catch the crap.
Right.
Let's catch the crap.
But nobody,
Okay.
right? Nobody's
How do I want to kind? We'll have to talk in the lounge to see how that goes.
Sure.
So then, what? I mean, what would be their next step after they catch the crap? Let go of the crap.
Well, so the catch the crap was basically
It was
like
flip the
awareness,
script.
right? And it's first it's awareness, and then it's flip the script. So stop it right in its tracks. So
Yeah.
this the catch, like I'm stopping this right now. Now I'm going to flip the script, and so the script could be as boldly as the opposite of what you've been saying, whatever that negative statement is, whatever that negative thought is, or just changing your environment. So in Alcoholics Anonymous, one of the things they say is like, if you are having a moment, just change your scenery for a second,
Mhm,
because then your very next best step will reveal itself.
mhm.
But most of the time, what happens is that we get stuck into a place of, we let that, and I said it on the last that call, I said, we get into these places where it just starts to spiral.
Mhm.
And it's going, right? And then it makes it so much harder to be like, whoa, 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 let me just knock this off. And then thus you've created a whole series of things that you don't want to have happen, right?
Yeah.
Because you're all pissed off. So if you can just stop, or even just walk outside. I don't even care if it's hot, cold, whatever, just take your butt outside and stand there.
Mhm,
Because then you've already created that pattern interrupt,
mhm.
right? And that allows for new stuff to come in,
Yeah.
and it stops the spiral. I hope everybody
Yeah.
can understand that.
Well, and to allow new stuff to come in, that is letting go.
Yeah,
You know,
yeah.
you've got to let go to create that space so that more can come in.
Now that's like the very like high level of it. But if we're really, you know, for even us, I mean, there's times where I still have those all the time moments where it's like, "Arr," and then I'm like, whoa, I have to slow myself down and I have to stop that. And it is a working of the tools. And then, so I now know, because I've been doing this work, that I can switch that and insert a more positive statement or my better outcome that I desire, right?
Yeah.
But I'm there. And for some people, it may not be that easy of a switch.
Mhm.
So something as easy as go find your dog and start petting the dog, right?
Yeah.
Yes, something
Get
that's just
outside.
gonna,
I
yes,
said jump in the pool, shock
Yeah.
yourself. Yeah.
something that shock yourself, right? That just kind of takes you quickly out of that. So you create that
Yeah.
alchemy that you most desire.
Right.
Yeah.
What else, you guys? Talk to us on the script. Let us know what you're thinking.
Right.
Like, what is your way of letting go? And maybe that, that's such a simple word, because there's a big difference between the way Gordon Ramsay says it, let go to grow, meaning delegate, and what we're talking about.
Sure.
I mean, that is a way though to let go.
Yeah, I get you.
And how many other bazillion ways do we use it to let go? Like, how can we really just surrender to be guided?
Yes. So there's leap of faith.
Yeah.
You
Shara
always,
says walk in nature helps so much.
yes, I couldn't agree more.
Well,
That
I
one
do
helps.
feel like the earth has innate intelligence, just like the body has
Oh my
innate
gosh, that's a
intelligence,
whole,
right?
yes.
And,
Let it
so,
contribute.
and, you gotta think like our houses, these are man-made.
Yeah,
Like we are
right?
animals, like
Yes.
we just
Ooh,
have.
girl. Opening some words there, like,
Yeah, I'm like opening the box
yeah,
because
for real.
if the
Let's go.
box, yeah, because if we don't start thinking totally different,
Yeah,
we're
you're
always
right.
going to be exactly the same.
You're right.
I mean, how many times do you hear like, okay, you wake up, you think the same thoughts, you do the same things, you live the same life that you did yesterday. Well, how much did you change today? Not very much. But if even our jobs were just to hunt down catching the crap that we say to ourselves, and then taking ourselves out of that lie by walking in nature or jumping in the pool or something, right? Even if that was our job, something in our brain would change.
Yes.
That little tiny thing would change us for the better because we're, working on ourselves.
Yes. Well, look,
this is true personal development here, right?
Well, coming to this call, right? Like coming and listening, just by you being in any sort of like listening to this, wherever you found us, you've already changed something because you've then
Because you're doing something different.
Yeah, correct.
Yeah, absolutely.
And there's a whole rabbit hole with that, but yeah, because then you told your guides that you're more interested in this. You've told the universe you're more interested in change. I mean, that also has its own, things. But
I mean, this doesn't mean go travel to Iceland. I mean, I'm sure if you would travel to Iceland, something in your brain would change, probably more than just changing the podcast you're listening to. But I do think, simple things can make unbelievable changes, as Shara just said. Yeah.
And Joe said, sometimes I just want to let go. Yeah.
He said, I want to just relax to let go.
Oh, relax to let go. See, I need my glasses on.
Well, so that's like that's the gift of like,
yeah, that's what I was thinking.
Therapy and meditations and things like that.
I guess I still got the energy of it.
Right.
Yeah.
So not only was I not moving at that time of my life, but I was also like getting high blood pressure. Like every single time I'd go to the doctor, there'd be like, are you taking corrective actions on this? And I was like, is it really that bad?
Which is crazy for me to even think you had high blood pressure.
Because I used to exercise every day and do yoga and that. But I had stopped all of that. And I had been doing the opposing thing.
Yeah.
Which is, fuck, it started to get my vigilant system up. And I'm sure that is what created that. And now that I'm back to really focusing on meditation and change and following my passion. I mean, I was listening to Megan Silito's interview on how to find your zone of genius.
Okay.
And she was on the show a while back. If you've missed that, I can
Definitely
send
check it.
YouTube.
Yeah,
It's
definitely
on
check it
YouTube.
into YouTube on
But
Page
a lot of the conversation was like how to find your genius. And I thought, well, I'm getting closer.
Yeah.
Is it all there? And is it all? And she'd also talked about, truly playing full out. And then there was even a copy, you remember it, somebody said, what's 100%? Because she's like, we need to play 100% out.
Yeah.
They're
Okay,
like, what
so
is
what did you say?
100% for an infinite being?
Oh, dang.
Right. And she's like, yeah, good. Point taken.
Yeah,
Right.
yeah.
But it's a little bit two different conversations.
Sure.
Because I think we can totally be ourselves. And it doesn't mean that we have to go at an infinite amount percentage.
We're still in a human form right now, right?
Yeah.
I don't want to say still, but we are having a human experience. Let's just be honoring of that as well, right? But anything's possible.
Yeah.
I really believe anything is possible. I really
Yeah.
do.
Yeah.
I mean, there are things that, like, if I want to put them in the impossible category, sure, there's those things. But like, I really believe that like anything can be possible now.
Yeah.
I didn't used to believe that, and I don't know if I really could surrender to that. Maybe school of thought, even as recent as last year.
I think there's a caveat to that, is anything is possible that you desire. Because you can't make yourself a baby again and put yourself back
And I
in your
said,
mommy.
okay, so I said, like, within those, I said, yes,
like-
are those that.
Why would you want to?
I said, there are those categories of the impossible, right? I said, are those categories of the impossible. But outside of those categories of the obvious impossibles, I still believe that there's anything possible.
Yeah.
Correct. You're not going to make myself a baby, right?
Yeah.
But I don't know, maybe there might be some technology that makes myself a baby, or that
Well,
makes me
they
live
could take
forever.
your genetics and you could,
There it
be
is.
you again.
Right. So it's all these little things that we may not even think of that actually makes that possible.
Yeah.
For example, I could live forever if there's technology that puts my consciousness into a AI or whatnot, like into technology, then possibly I would be living forever. So
Yeah.
those are those things, right? Like there
Yeah.
are ways to grow limbs now to make you taller, shorter. Research that could make you as tall as a basketball player, even in your current body life now, right?
Yeah.
Now, is it
Do you
safe?
want to?
Right? Is it safe?
It's
Is
a
it
bigger
something that-
question. Like,
Correct. No.
no.
But
No, I guess
there are a lot of possibilities, though.
right.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Yeah. Tell us about what possibility that you guys want to play with next. I'd like to hear. What possibility do you want to play with next?
Ooh, that's a very good question. I would like to make it possible. We're going on that show, and I have a lot of, so if you are following us, we are going on one of the largest stay in or live in reality shows for entrepreneurs. It's a contest. We basically do a deep dive and because we're starting up the show and whatnot, it is for startups. And so, you do a deep dive into marketing, business, all of these different aspects. And I think that, Jennifer and I are very well versed in that. Now, there's going to be people, I think I read that 90,000 people apply for the show every year, and we got chosen to tape in July. So just in a couple weeks. I do feel like I'm a little bit anxious because I have a creative nature about me when it comes to maybe intellectual challenges. Like if somebody's playing baseball, yeah, I'm not on that team. I might just sit there and bench warm for you, but I'm not going to play softball or anything like that. Now, when it comes to an intellectual challenge, like I kind of take that to heart. That's my thing.
Yeah.
So I'm anxious and I would like the possibility to win. But
yeah, we might as well.
Yeah,
we were chosen. So
Yeah.
why wouldn't that be in the field for us to win? Clearly.
Yeah. So I'm like,
It's weird because whenever I go into this, dare I say it, but I feel like we're gonna get like second or third. Or
why?
something.
Don't say
But
that.
we would still
I
we
would be
still-
super grateful.
Yeah.
With the publicity and how it grows and everything we would learn. Look, I didn't even know when we were even entertaining the idea, did not think that we were going to get chosen. I had no idea why. I just didn't know that we could get this far already.
Yeah.
So I'm super grateful for the opportunity. And yeah, well, let's just play to win then,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah, we're playing to win.
Oh, it's exciting. But if we do get runner up, I'm grateful for that too, because it is exactly divinely guided. I already know that too.
Yeah.
Yeah. And yeah. And so what's possible there? So what is
know, but-
possible about,
Like that's the shortest term possible.
yeah.
Yeah.
And what's possible about maybe utilizing that so we can create this community of pay it forward,
Yeah,
right? So
yeah.
there's got to be publicity there, and maybe there's a lot more fundraising that goes around that, right? That we can utilize and kind of capitalize on, and make sure that we say not capitalize in the way that profit, but I'm saying in the way that we would be able to maybe generate funds so that we can start the foundation piece, right? And now this is all coming through.
Yeah.
Now that I asked the question. So thank you, universe.
I know. I'm liking this. This is going to be becoming a good conversation for us.
Because there'll be a lot of press that we can do locally as well as we represent our city.
Yeah.
And yeah, so there you go. So if you have got any ideas for foundations, stuff like that, paying it forward, let me know.
Yeah. Well, and that is what my vision is.
Sure.
Is to really create this community
Yeah.
so that it is very
Yeah.
like, it's
And
still,
I just made the connection
it's
of
still
like, oh my
important
gosh, we should be doing that.
I mean, it's still important to receive though, I feel like sometimes when you when too much pay it forward, and you guys know who I'm speaking to out there.
I've been
But
guilty.
there's too much paying it forward to the point that it's like, wait, this person just paid it forward and then you're paying it forward again. Like, where does the receiving happen?
Correct.
Yeah.
And so one of the things I always say, I really like Billy Carson, and Billy and Elizabeth, if you're listening, I want you to do the show. So I'll be sending an invite. Billy talks about woke don't mean broke. And I think when it comes to a spiritual aspect, lots of times the misconception was that there was like this purging of all of our material items so that we could just have nothing and be nothing and no space, correct? But what we're learning is that no, that's not how we were meant to be at all. We were truly meant to be. Yeah, of course, there's a level of that is beautiful spirituality. However, when we have more resources, i.e. money, then we can create these bigger platforms, and we can create these bigger avenues for change, like this global change. If we're going up against corporations or, for profit, for only profit's sake, or greed or anything like that, then we have to have a good balance for that. And I thought that was brilliant. I really love that. And gone are those days where I believe that like, oh, I'm so spiritual, I'm supposed to give everything away for free. Like, there's resources that required of us every single day to put the show together even, right?
Yeah.
I can always say it'll be a free resource as far as like the show, but
our resources aren't.
Yeah. Right.
Well, and that includes our energetic resources.
Oh, I
too.
agree
I
with
mean,
that
gosh,
too.
I've been thinking about this show since Friday.
Yeah,
Right?
Yeah.
And I feel like it still hasn't translated enough.
I know.
Mostly what I want people to play with is
Okay.
to change, like, look at what you might have suppressed and let's start finding an outlet of expression for that.
Yeah. Such as what? Give me an example.
I feel like when money goes really well in my world, I'm free. Ideas come and I'm like,
yes,
great team, let's
I
do
agree with
that.
Yeah.
Right. There's this, there's that, there's this, there's that. I mean, it just rains ideas, and I will explore almost all of them that really light me up. When money isn't flowing as well, it's sort of more like a cross-armed, like, well, it might not work and I don't want to lose all the money. I mean, this is like the lies that I tell myself instead of like, oh,
What
let's
contrib-
explore it.
Yeah.
Let's make this happen.
Yeah.
Let's go full out.
Yeah.
And I don't, because I don't want to just kind of, fall into the, the land of like boring. So,
Intellectually says that he can do that with, I can do this with science and other ways. Yeah. Yes, those
so
are
I
great
think
ways for, I think you were saying that ways you can have an outlet for expression, full
full
expression.
expression.
We
Yeah.
would love that because I know that you're really clued in with science, right? Like that, those things are a really unique gift that you bring to the world. And even if it's just bringing it to yourself,
Yeah. Yeah.
right?
When I think at the end of the day and at the end of life, you need to look at your life and go, wow, do I have regrets? What would I like
Ooh,
to,
I'm not doing that.
I feel like I've got one. It happened in a yoga class.
Oh,
But maybe not. You know what? Towards the end of my life, I'll be like, no, you don't understand what that taught me.
oh, sure. I
Don't
mean,
you think that I'm gonna be that way?
I've danced
And I also learned how to heal it through Joe Dispenza and, and all these different things, right? I mean, I'm like now I teach it.
yes.
I mean, if it wasn't for this,
Yeah.
I mean, that's how my story is gonna play out.
I love that so much. I always joke about with my friends, some of my college friends, and I was like, girl, we were dancing on whiskey bars and like just a hot mess falling off that bar. Like, I mean, but do we regret it? No, not even a little bit. We laugh about that because it was just a time, like an expression.
Yeah.
At that time, it was a college expression, but no, I don't ever regret any of those.
Yeah.
We always laugh. We're like, I don't regret my wild times.
I've been watching The Crown, and right now, William is a teenager, and he has a bodyguard that follows him around everywhere. But he's just started to date Kate,
Okay.
and they're out partying,
I'll have fun.
and what I realized was Harry was always made the one that was so wrong
For partying.
for partying.
How funny.
And William did just the same stuff, and
Yeah.
it was all hidden.
Yeah.
It was hidden from the world
Oh,
because
that's
he was going to be
funny.
the heir.
Yeah. It's funny that you say that because I was thinking about the Bush twins. They grew up here in Austin. This is such a tangent. They grew up here in Austin, and they were in college around the same time that I was. And one of my buddies at St. Ed's was good friends with them, and it was always like they had the good one, and then they had the wild one. And I think it was the one that's on with Hoda right now was the wild one, right?
Yeah.
And they were always making fun of her for partying. Now, there was some really crazy pictures that I saw, and I thought, oh, these should not get to the tabloid. They were having fun, right? Like that's all it was. It was probably more PG than I was. But anyway, and I just thought, but the tabloids would have had a field day with that because they're the president's daughters, right? And I always thought how it was funny how they always made Laura Bush to always like the goodies. Like, boy, in those pictures, she didn't look so much the goody. I just have to say, and I'm not trying to put this out on dirty, like air anyone's laundry. I love them both. Yeah. But like it's funny how even the perceptions that are created by outside, we were just talking about, the judgments of others and not letting it get to us. Gosh, can you imagine if you were the
spare? And it's almost like they used him as publicity.
Yeah.
Like they wanted him to make mistakes so that they could have something in the papers about the royal family. And that is cruel. My God. God, this poor boy's already lost his mom. This is like 4 or 5 years after that. And now they're trying they found pot in his room, and they're trying to make him go to rehab, but then they'll find pot in William's room, and then they'll just hide it from the press.
Yeah,
like
dirty.
Oh, dirty.
Oh, well, good for her because the Bush twins, and one of them is on with Hoda now, and she was the wild one, right? So she's hey, it all worked out. See,
that's funny. Oh my goodness. Well, we are coming up to around time. we have the lounge today.
Yeah, we do.
By the way.
Yep, we do.
And if you don't know about the lounge, it's at houthustle.co. If you
Okay.
want to find out more.
Yeah. And it's really fun. I mean, I'm excited about
Yeah, I
the
mean,
lounge today.
that's when it's like group coaching and
Mhm.
group facilitation where we help you really
You've got a good
become
group.
all of you.
Yeah.
Get rid
Yeah.
of all your suppressions. Learn how to totally let go.
With a really loving and supportive group,
Yeah.
like super, super loving. We're all really invested in each other. And I think that's so, so cool. You can't duplicate that.
Yeah.
It's not fake, right?
What do you think is a good clearing to help them? Do you think that is the I don't know clearing?
Why don't you run it like twice? Let's see. Let's go with it.
All right, so let's think about something that you wish was different in your life. Maybe just one tiny thing.
Okay, got it.
Okay, it could be a big thing. You can choose. Think about that one thing. What do you wish was different in your life? Okay, you got it?
Mhm.
Like hook onto it.
Mhm.
So what do you know that you've been denying,
Mhm.
hiding, and avoiding that you know around this? And anything that is, would you destroy it and then create
Yes.
all those constructs?
Yes.
What is, yeah. So what, did that one work?
No, keep going. That moved energy though, y'all.
Yeah. So again, get that thing that you wish was different. What is it that you didn't, that you know about this, that you've been denying and refusing to know? If you didn't deny or refuse to know it, you would have total change around it. Anything that doesn't allow that, would you destroy and uncreate?
Yes.
And take a breath. Is that hooked in a little better?
Yeah.
Needs a little bit more. Okay.
I didn't even
So-
hear you.
Here's a better one. So get that same thing that you wish was different.
Okay.
Okay. I lost it just a little bit, but it'll come back. So what is it that you know about you and the way that you might approach going after this that is totally wrong?
Oh.
Anything that is, which start and fun. So I feel like there's two more that's coming
Okay.
through with
Okay,
this.
let's go.
So get that thing. What constructs, inventions, and lies do you have about not being able to have this that you can now let go and destroy and then create?
Mm-hmm.
And take a breath.
Yeah. Anything, yeah, that doesn't allow that, destroy and uncreate.
Yep. And it's kind of, that one kind of blew my mind out. So one more, let's do one or two more.
Yeah.
And then if you guys want this on a loop, I can give it to you. So think about that thing that you wish was different in your life. Really get hooked into it. What is it that you know about not being able to have that and all the narratives and stories that create that? Would you be willing to let them go, surrender to new information, and start to grow? And anything that doesn't allow that, would you destroy and uncreate?
Yes.
And take a breath. That was a good one too.
Oh. She's got the yawnies out.
I'm starting to get them
If you don't
myself. I'm
know
like,
what the yawnies are, they mean like
the yawnies.
the yawnies means that like you're moving so much energy that your body just wants to release it.
That's it,
So
right
it's
on.
like you do through yawn. So it's okay to yawn, have the big growls, like this is the spot, but it just looks really funny when you're seeing it on air. There you go.
All right, so then I guess the last one is
My leg is going.
go back to that new possibility. And is there a greater level of now being able to receive it,
Yes.
right? Yeah, it seems like it, right? It's like not such a pie in the sky.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then I think we keep asking, what have I suppressed about me that's keeping me from having this?
Yes.
Clearly it's I spotted, I got it. So what is it that, is keeping you from totally and utterly having this? Yeah. Anything that doesn't allow you to know, like that you can have it because you create.
Yes.
3, 2.
Oh God.
That was fun. I'm like flushing.
And then when we're throwing our hands out, we're really moving the energy. We throw in these what we call energy, I guess, lightning bolts, if you will. It's like a lightning bolt because it's got lots of energy, and you can even charge up the Mother Gaia with it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Thank you.
Thank
Wow.
you guys for being here.
Yeah.
And so the lounge is in 2 hours. I will see you then. Bye, everyone.